Loved ones, welcome back to yet another installment of our Psychic Abilities series. I'm having so much fun with this with you guys. If you haven't already checked out the video where I talk about the Walker of the Worlds, go ahead and click here and check it out and then come on back. And let's dive a little bit deeper into the Walker of the Worlds. I'm pretty excited for this. I feel like I said before, I feel like many of us can relate and resonate with this one, and you'll understand a little bit more why I feel that way. Okay, so a walker of the worlds, and I have my notes here, that's why I'm looking down. A walker of the worlds is a spiritual teacher, as I said before, a medicine person, a healer. A healer, a spiritual teacher, medicine person is what? A shaman. Now, I understand that some people may take issue with this word, and I'm going to help you here. Release the attachment to the judgments, okay, of the word and who can use it and who can't. The truth is, we don't know anybody's lineage. The only person who knows their lineage is them. Shamanism does not belong to anyone in particular. As I said, a shaman is a healer, a spiritual teacher, and a medicine person or a medicine keeper. Okay? How many of us have had these things passed down generation to generation to generation? Okay? Now let's get a little bit deeper into this. So, like I said, a shaman is a teacher. Now, this teacher stands and moves between the worlds without fully yielding to either of them. So essentially, you're in this world, but you're not of it. And what I mean by that is you tend to not hold a lot of judgment on certain things. Now, being human and being conditioned, um, it's something that we have to unlearn, especially when we're practicing, okay? However, when you think about over time how you sort of vibrated out of those thoughts, feelings, and emotions, and you realize that we're one, okay? And although you may hold some judgments, you're just vibrating away from that so much. It's not a us and them. To be of this world, you're basically living with a 3D mindset. And although we are 3D in this physical form because we have to be able to walk around and navigate on this earth plane, your thought, your mindset and your perspective is not that of 3D mindset. You see beyond all of the stuff that's going on, okay? And so just to get a little deeper before I get, because I can, sort of branch out and keep going and going with the things, but I want to stick with this. Okay, so you are a teacher that stands and moves between the worlds without fully yielding to either of them. Okay, so you're like in the middle. The human condition is duality, but when you really evolve in an elevation and ascend, you understand there is neutrality. There is no right, wrong, positive, negative, them and us. Okay, it's just neutrality. We're at 0 point. We are one. All right. Now, shaman means one who sees. It's a Tonga word derived from the Tonga word samen. Okay, and shamanism derived or came from Siberia. Okay, so just to give you a little bit of that, and you can go down a rabbit hole with this, okay? Now, you are the bridge between the spiritual world and the physical world. That's a walker of the world. You are a medicine person. And if you have this gift, you have the ability to communicate with and experience oneness with all levels of creation, which is what I was talking about not long ago. And also what I mentioned when I said you're out in nature, you might be an animal whisperer. And these things look different for different people, okay? Um, but they overlap at the same time. You feel connected with nature while you're in it, and you can have bonds with people who seem to be strangers, okay? That's oneness. You're holding space for others and you see them without judgment. That again is oneness, okay? Again, you are one who sees. So if someone comes to me and they say, and I've had this happen various times, they'll say, well, you know what? I saw a jack o' lantern skipping down the street and someone cut it, and what came out of it was pumpkin seeds and teeth. Perfect. Like certain things just don't even penetrate, and you know what I mean. I know that you've had these before, whereas other people would be all out of sorts, but you're like not so much. You're like, okay, probably you probably did. um Also, you are a messenger who sees and observes rather than acts, okay? And again, I go back to all of the things, being in this world but not of it. You see what's going on in the world, but you don't react, okay? You recognize that people don't need to be fixed or changed. Number one, they're perfect just as they are in the time and space, in the moment that they are in. So, and you recognize that. They just need to be seen. You notice that they just need to be acknowledged, and sometimes they need to be held. Love is the greatest force, which we've talked about on this channel multiple times. In one of my other videos, when I was talking about protecting your energy, I talked about the love bubble. I'm telling you, love is very beautiful. And some people might say love is it can also be a weapon. I'm not even gonna call it a weapon, but by that they mean that because love is so light, there is nothing that can stand against it. Okay. And so that's why, I share all the details about protecting your energy. But once you really start to practice and get your footing and get grounded and fully embodied, and start to delve more into self-realization and have more of a connection with your divine guidance, your spirit guides and angels, and ancestors or whatever, you'll start to realize that I don't need protection. I mean, just by me being who I am, what? That it's not really necessary. You know what I mean? Although as a human we might feel that, and that's why I give those details in the other video, because I understand that. And you have to have a gateway. You have to have something that brings you on in, and then you start to realize, okay, I can leave this, I can keep that, I can add this, I can subtract that. Okay, I'm still on subject here. So, like I said, that love is the greatest force there is, and that fear, hate, and separation causes a disruption in thriving. Those are the opposites. You do not thrive when you are being hateful, when you're thinking, being divisive, us against them, or even causing and spewing divisive speak. Okay. When you are in fear of all things, you are not thriving. Fear is like the opposite of love to me. It's like where there is fear, there is no love. So when you start to feel those things, you just turn the love on, and you start with yourself. Okay. I'm trying not to preach. Let's keep going. Now, you can hold energy for others on multi-dimensional levels of awareness. Okay. So when you do this, it goes back to what I was saying, the perspective. So if I'm talking about 3D, which is the human face value, we see the headlines and we just react to them. We throw the gossip out there. We believe everything we hear. We read a headline, a couple of sentences, and we're off to the races. That's 3D behavior. That's where the hustle mentality is. That's where fear is, divisiveness, hate, and all of that. Okay. But then you have the other dimension where it's 4D, where you're moving more away from that. Okay. And you're starting to feel more of a sense of love, more of a sense of oneness. And then as you get into the fifth dimension, then a lot of those things and behaviors and conversations, they begin to fall by the wayside. And as a human, we can go back and forth between these different dimensions. Like we have access to all of these dimensions in our human form based on our perspective. Okay, so if I say there is no such thing as a walking jack o' lantern that has pumpkin seeds, then I'm 3D and there isn't. But if I'm thinking on a different dimension, a higher dimensional level, I know that everything exists because all we have to do is think of it, and therefore it is, which is a whole other, I'm going out there a little bit, but I'm just trying to share with you the thought process, okay, and the perspective. So are you a walker of the worlds? Does any of this resonate with you? Okay, if you don't feel comfortable with the word shaman or shamanism, that's perfectly fine. Another thing, healing modalities. You probably have a vast number of healing modalities at your fingertips. You probably also know, or maybe you don't know yet. The more you integrate your higher self, the more you will find out that you can access other healing modalities without ever learning them, without ever going to school for them, without ever even knowing what they were before. Okay, it's all through, it's a higher dimension, your higher self, your higher consciousness. Let's keep going. Let's see, let me make sure I gave you everything, okay? Okay, I mentioned doulas before. Doulas are also, they also fall under this category. And as I told you, psychic abilities are not cookie cutter. They're going to bleed into one another. And doulas is another one. Let's see. Some people can help people cross over, which is truly beautiful. So you can help the world of the living and the people in the spirit world. There's a lot of noise going on, and I'm going to end this video right here because it's so loud and distracting. And that's pretty much everything here about the walkers of the world. But can you converse with spirit guides? Can you converse with the bones and the trees, the rivers, the animals? Hospice caregivers, they're very good at this. They help people transition, okay? You move between worlds, you work with allies. It could be crystals, it could be animals, it could be spirit guides, it could be nature. Okay, so this was a very lengthy, yeah, we're at 13 minutes, a lengthy video, but I wanted to pack everything and just give you all of the juice right here and now, okay? I'm going to end it here. Until the next video, live simply and be kind. And let me know, does this resonate with you? We'll talk about it more.